Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Tuesday, August 6th edition of the dApp Developers Group. And welcome, Jim. Hey, Jim, I just pressed the record button and I'm doing the introductions. So we've got a nice group here today, and we're going to start. Ned, you wanted to lead the discussions on a specific topic.
Do we want to jump right into that, or do you want people to introduce themselves first?
Well, let's see here. We've got a lot of everyone here. Now you met Mike earlier, and everyone on the call has pretty much been the usual guests. So there's really no one except for maybe Jay. Hey Jay, this is probably one of the first few times you've been to the dApp Developer Working Group, and we have Ned on the call. So why don't you guys introduce yourselves to each other, and then we'll go from there.
Well, Ned and I have actually met. Actually, my introduction to RChain and the RChain collab. We met at the San Francisco Blockchain Week back when I was working for C4 Coin.
Oh, okay. Sweet.
Yeah. Good to see you again.
Yeah, you too.
Good. Well, I think everyone knows everyone, so we can proceed onward. Ned, what we got here? Okay, Ned wants to talk about token swaps.
Right. So last week we started talking about Rock to Rev, and I found out that I had some misinformation, and I had a meeting on Monday with Chris Boscolo, and now I have more of a complete understanding. And I put a link in the chat window, and I just want to reiterate that the link in there, which is the co-op's token swap webpage, is the official statement from the co-op on the Rock to Rev conversion. If you hear anything else, check it for factualness. There are going to be scammers out there, but anything that's truthful is going to be on this page.
Okay.
So this is the definitive source for information on the Rock to Rev conversion. And any updates that the co-op staff may make to it will only be done after complete vetting by Greg and our legal staff. Or not staff, our legal counsel. So this is it. You know, people start guessing or saying things, just go by this. This is like the Bible. But that being said, I could kind of go back and start from where we were talking last week, and I was talking about there's going to be a suffix added, yada, yada, yada.
Yep.
And while that actually is all true in terms of the internal algorithms on how internally things are going to take place, the simple matter of the fact is, if you have your private key, so you have to be in control of your own private key. So not a ledger, not on an exchange. You're in control of your private key, and it's not in a multi-sig wallet. So if you scroll to the bottom of that webpage, you'll see it says very clearly multi-sig wallets will not be supported. So as long as you're in control of your private key, after the Rock to Rev conversion is done, and you use a wallet that is able to handle Rev, all you need to do is use your private key to log into that wallet, and whatever balance you had previously in Rock will be available to you in Rev. Okay. So it's, on one hand, it's really that simple. Just control your private key. As Andre Andronopoulos likes to say, no key, no coin. Right?
No key, no coin, right?
No coin, right? So you have to control your private key. And then, so now let's talk about where you could use that private key. Currently, the only wallet that is available is the command line wallet that's available from our node, right? So currently, if you want to see your balance or send your balance or create a transaction. The only way currently to do that is using, you'd have to have R node running, and then you could connect your R node to the co-op, to a validator, and then through the command line, you can send your rev somewhere or bond it to a smart contract. Now, we are looking, Ed Eichholt, I'm trying to get an update from him on the status of the wallet he was writing. So we would need that, or I'm actually putting this out to the dApp community. If anybody wants to write a wallet, that would be great, because we're going to need that. And that's it. So if using a wallet that supports Rev, all you need is your private key.
You mentioned last week or sometime last week that someone in the Chinese community is working on Wallet. Is that correct?
I said I didn't know. I actually reached out to Dimworm.
Right.
And he said no.
Okay, because I asked him a similar question. He didn't mention that. Okay.
Yeah.
And then NutZipper mentioned a couple of weeks ago about creating a trust wallet on Binance. Any thoughts on that, NutZipper, as far as what the effort scope of work entailed on something like that would be?
Yeah, my proposal was that the most crucial part of every wallet is kind of signing a transaction.
Okay.
So it should be done like bulletproof. So Trust Wallet open sourced their core, which is doing all the crypto stuff, signing transaction and passing the signature to the front end. And it's acquired by Binance. So it would be nice to add RChain blockchain support to the Trust Wallet core. So every wallet that is using their foundation can easily add RChain blockchain to their wallets. So this will expand the user base. And it's kind of I briefly overviewed this project, Trust Wallet Core, and tried to add blockchain, but I didn't succeed, and I haven't paid much time to it. You basically need C++ devs and expose C interface to the high-level libraries that are actually wallets. Okay. They have Java and Swift implementations. I don't know how to say. So you can integrate this into mobile applications. So that was my idea. So if we are going to have something that is kind of reliable and also allowing expanding the user base, adding the RChain blockchain to the Trust Wallet would be a nice option.
Hey, NutZipper, is this open source, or does Binance have to kind of bless it before we could do that?
No, it's open source.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
And what did you say it was called again? The Trust Network?
Trust Wallet. Trust Wallet Core.
Cool.
Here, let me share my screen so everyone watching at home in the future can see it as well. So let's see here. Okay, so that does that look like?
So So this is the Trust Wallet, which is wallet acquired by Binance. And Trust Wallet uses Trust Wallet Core as a part of a foundation for signing transactions.
Okay, so it's Trust Wallet Core. Let me see if there's anything.
Can this be used by U.S. citizens or not?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Okay.
There isn't any restriction on who can use it. I use Trust Wallet.
You do?
Yeah. But the Trust Wallet, the commercial version of it is different from the open source project. I mean, if we develop support for RChain, we can make a pull request to put that back into the core. But whether we may have to build our own version of the wallet that includes the rev until it gets incorporated into the commercial version or the standard version.
I thought that Trust Wallet is using Trust Wallet Core. So if blockchain is inside Trust Wallet Core, so it can be easily included into the commercial version.
Right, but they would have we could make a pull request, but they would have to pull it.
Yeah, sure, sure they would have to pull it.
Ned, you know C++. Aren't you a C++ programmer?
In a previous lifetime, sure.
What are you doing for the next week and a half?
I don't, as I say, nobody lets me put my code into production anymore.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So we had a couple other C++ programmers. I think, wasn't Jay, wasn't your background C++ also? No.
Jay just he dropped off and he just jumped back in. Yeah, hey Jay, we were just talking about C++. You have C++ skills, don't you?
Yeah, more or less. I've definitely worked with native libraries, which it looks like it's what did it say? It's a C library with C++ interface, or maybe the other way around. But it seems interesting because I guess they've just gotten the Trust Wallet Core to compile to Android and iOS, and they're expecting you to write native apps for each one. But I just wonder if there's any other kind of core libraries out there for wallets that could be written for a web language, because that can reach a larger audience for less work. This way, if it's in C++ and it doesn't compile to WebAssembly, then you're expecting a native Android support, native iOS support, and native Linux and Windows and Mac.
Right. I know they were looking at incorporating it into MetaMask at one point. I'm not sure what happened with that effort. Of course, MetaMask doesn't run on the phone. Trust Wallet, I guess, has an advantage of being, native application.
Yeah.
But, I think the issue is, I guess, I plan on, using the command line wallet stuff with Robot and hopefully integrating that with Keybase.
So, yeah, I was wondering about that, Jim. So how would you protect somebody's private key, though? Because I was thinking, you could probably do that with Robot and Discord pretty easily, but now people are passing their private key, in a semi-public.
Well, basically, the personal proxy is part of the, is part of the structure that we're putting out, and with it, so the personal proxy would essentially run on the cloud under your control, wherever you would trust to have it run. But basically, for the co-op, we would just provide secured servers to run your proxy on, or a secured mechanism. So in any case, you would launch a proxy which could run on your own machine or on the cloud, actually. And that proxy would be responsible for doing the gRPC, which couldn't be done in the browser, as well as keeping your keys and performing user agent functionality. So it could act as you when you're not online, based on your rules, which is, it's so the personal proxy initially is a very simple thing. It just keeps your keys. It does the conversion of the gRPC, and we're looking to have it cache the GraphQL interface to RChain is what we hope to have done at some point. But,
okay, and that's key-based, not Discord, right?
Yeah, the robot connection would be the key base, right?
Okay.
And we would also, obviously we're going to support Discord, but I don't think you want to do transactions,
No.
Rev transactions with the Discord identity.
Right. So let me ask, with Keybase, how long do you think it would get you? How long would it take you guys to get a proof of concept up and running? Because my understanding is that command line's available now from Ornode.
Yeah. Well, I would have to be able to figure it out. I mean, if we get some coaching, we could probably get it done in one session, right?
Yeah. Who could you reach out? I mean,
I get, how good is the documentation? I know at one point we did play with it. We had, Dan Connolly and other people. We were following some instructions that seemed to work. We can, schedule a work study to get that, try to get that operating. And I guess the first step was just to get the command line while it's working, period. And the second step, which should be relatively simple, is getting that to work with Keybase. Now, there is one issue there. There is the issue of do the people have to have their own bot, or do we run a bot that that we trust? Not so much to hold their keys, but to simplify their interface. Let me think about that again. Yeah, no. Yeah, never mind. They don't need a K-based bot necessarily, but they do need the proxy.
it'd be great if the collab could kind of work through this. And,
yeah.
The community.
For example, one of the things we can do is we can take the robot.net machine, give each person an account on that machine. They could connect their Keybase wallet to that machine. Well, that's a problem too, because there's too many, a sysadmin of that machine could see their stuff. They would need their own, for low security stuff, they can prove the concept with an identity, connected to the machine. If it was secured reasonably well enough with trusted system administrators. Otherwise, they would have to have their own environment to run it in, which could be. We could expose anonymous. They could run it on their own home machine, and we could expose it. I mean, there's all kinds of ways we could do it.
So this proxy, they only need to run when they want to sign something, right? Sign a transaction or perform some transaction.
Right. Well, yeah, it would be for all their interaction with our node.
Mm. But that's good, because that means it's not a server that you continuously have to run. It can be, an app on your phone or a web app that you just spawn up and you connect to the robot, and it sends you all the data you need. You sign the transaction, right, and you're storing your private key locally, and then you send that back to robot, and it performs the transaction with the node. So there's not really any need for a user to store like their own proxy or anything like that on the cloud. At least I don't see it.
Well, it could run on their machine. Yeah.
Yeah.
They still have to run it somewhere.
Mm. But it's just an application. It's not a server.
Just an application that, well, I mean, it's an application, but essentially it's going to be their gateway to our node. So they're going to make calls from their application to essentially, the RChain API in whatever state that evolves into, which we hope evolves to GraphQL, and provide their identity to RChain, so that essentially everything that they sent in would be signed.
To our node, provide their identity to our node.
Provided to our node, right?
So here's my question. There's probably 10% in the community, and I'm making that up, but let's say there's 10% who are comfortable running their own R node to do all this. And is this method, would this be accessible to some big percentage of the other 90%? I know it's not like easy peasy for just, the average token holder, but is this solution going to be frictionless enough to get another big swath of the population? Or is it really going to also be for, the more geeky among us?
Well, I mean, it can be made simple, but it's not. That's making it really simple, like Jay's talking about. Having it run as an app on your phone or whatever. This is extra work. But it's certainly much less than having to run a node on your machine.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so it's it's. I mean, you still need to be able to access a node.
So I mean, can I just explain how I think it is to see if I'm understanding it right? There's the R node, and it has an API to interface with it,
Right.
and then you can either interface with that API directly through a wallet where you're signing transactions and submitting them to an R node, or you can have the robot, which in this case you can kind of consider it like a proxy, in which you interface with the robot with its own kind of macro language, and then it's going to interface with an R node through the standard API. So someone needs to host the robot, but really just one person does, and it doesn't require any kind of trust because you're still signing the transactions on the wallet on the local client. Is that right?
Right. You're instead of running R node, you're running Keybase. Okay. Along with the RChain wallet commands, right? So you're writing both key-based and, well, let's see, the wallet command set was the problem. That was one of the problems. We actually had to be running an R node to run those.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, that was one of the things we tested on there. We were trying. That was a controversial thing as to whether it should work or not. In other words, if I were to specify a remote R node, yeah, no. Okay, so they're still going to have to run an R node. Sorry about that.
Yep. No, that's okay. Good thing we talked about it.
So you're saying that the user with the app on their phone in the mix, they would need to have an R node somewhere in order for this to work.
Yeah, the proxy would have to be an environment where R node was running.
So the robot needs to run an R node, not the user with the wallet.
Well, the user in order to sign the documents.
Oh.
Is going to have to be able to.
Is that just because there's no?
You have to be able to run the R node command with their permissions. Now, they could do that on a shared server, but on a shared server, then we have the problem of their keys being potentially exposed.
Cannot the robot just ask a user, give me please the signature, and user put a signature, because the only thing that is required and should be hidden is a signature. So you're telling robot, please do me this thing. He's saying, okay, I will do this thing. This is the data you need to sign. Please give me the signature. And user just signing it offline and provide the signature to the robot.
Yeah. We also had a problem with translating the signatures in the browser. I think they did come up with a solution to that. But the alternative method that we had was to use the RChain browser plugin, which was working partially. It allows you to generate a key. It allows you to place a message in, password protection, and then it will generate. I don't know. I probably don't remember my password.
But it doesn't need to be, especially web browser stuff or anything. It can be just a command line or a Node.js API or any stuff that was built that can just put out the signature out from the raw data.
Well, I mean, the idea is, it would have to be an app that, I guess the problem is keeping the information on their machine.
Yeah, right. But that's just
it doesn't have to be in the browser, you're right.
Sign-in app. So yeah, it's a piece of code that is in the, for example, in the Node API library that is calculating the signature. So even if guys will do something wrong, they will just create a wrong signature and it won't be accepted. So right. they won't do something stupid and expose their private keys.
Right. So, I mean, if we provide a separate way of signing messages
Yeah, it's like offline MetaMask.
without using the command line wallet, then you don't need to run RNode.
Yeah, and that's what a wallet would be. It sounds like RChain just needs a wallet. Because
right, what we're looking at here is, you know, how can we leverage the command line wallet or not?
Well, what's it written in?
It's written in Scala, I guess.
Okay. And is it a sub package of the RNode project?
It runs as an option for the RNode command, for the RNode node.
Okay.
So the code is there, and it's I guess it could be pulled out.
Yeah.
And then
Jim,
I mean, I guess if we had somebody who was expert in it, and, you know, if we learned more about the wallet, then we could probably, I mean, we could use that functionality without actually running a node, right?
Okay. So you don't have to run the RNode, but it's really the only code right now that supports generating public and private keys and signing transactions.
Right.
There's other projects out there.
not really. Actually, you can sign the transaction with the RNode API. You can sign the transaction with I believe that with the code that was written by Lamuet. Also, could be that you can do this with RChain that is written by the core dev team. So it's not a big deal. There is plenty of code that can sign transaction, and this code, at least by RChain, should be maintained by the core dev team. So there will be definitely the ways to sign transaction.
The last time we checked that wasn't true. The core team had none. There was Ed's wallet and the command line wallet.
Sorry?
I guess Ned can answer that better, but I don't believe there is any other wallet.
Yeah.
No, there is. And actually, I just heard from Ed, and his wallet has been on hold. He's been busy with other projects, and he hasn't worked on it for a couple months. Now, his wallet is written in Scala. I don't know if he's, anyway, I don't know if it's open source or what his plan is with that.
All right, so with the RChain API, as Natsegura was saying, we have the basic functionality to do the wallet.
So, actually, I was curious about that. So that's exposed in the API?
Sorry?
So the wallet commands are exposed through the API, the RChain API?
Let me think. Not really. There is no, I think there is no like command line option transfer from this to this. But the code is there to deploy code. So actually it's as I understand it, the current way to transfer revs is not written in stone, because Rev Vault implementation may be changed, adjusted. So it could be that the contract that you need to deploy to transfer some coins will be not the same as it is now in the Mercury. So basically, you need just a way to sign transactions and to put the transactions to a validator, push this transaction. But the actual code of Roland code of transferring the tokens is something that can be changed in these 2 months.
Yeah, I guess if you have the ability to, but I think what Ned's asking is, and I guess Dan had that problem too, is like, how do you fund a contract? And that was
Fund a contract?
Yeah, that was an interest.
Yeah.
That was a problem. But I know.
Sorry, could you expand on this? I'm not sure I understand this.
Well, Dan's issue was being able to fund a contract, and that he wanted to, in essence, give money to a purse that's owned by a contract, and
So contract own purse.
Yeah, I know there was some resolution to it. But I don't know exactly what that was. I know that was an issue. But the basic process of the command line wallet is, I don't think they're planning to change that. Now, maybe the specifics of the contracts that are deployed may change, but and that may be why they sort of keep that a little bit hidden. But so I don't know. I think we really need a work study to understand, to go over and understand the command line wallet.
This would be a good question for somebody to bring up at tomorrow's community debrief.
Did you guys see the role demos raw files? I'm not sure that here is like a code that is transferring funds. So this is how it is implemented now, right?
Whose demo?
Check the Zoom chat. Demo Vault demo. When the current Vault implementation was done, core team written the batch of raw files that is implementing maintain tokens, and the most interesting part is the transferring of the tokens. So basically, this is the raw code that is transferring tokens, and this part may change, but other parts won't change, which is tied to signing transactions and submitting them to validators.
I believe it was Joe Denman, or maybe earlier it was Archer Galway. They both did a demo on the command line vault, transferring funds from one person to the other. So, and I think Joe was the last one to do a demo. And so with his demonstration, it showed that at the command line, it worked. You can transfer.
It's actually not command line. You just deploy this code. You can do this with the command line. You can do this with a Node API. You can do this with whatever you want. You can do this with the raw gRPC stuff written by yourself.
Right. So, but the point for me, the point though is these are all for really technical development type of people. It's not what your potential average, RChain token holder is going to be comfortable with. It's certainly not for mass adoption. And so so while those are great, and it shows that those who can will be able to move their rev around, there are going to be a lot of people who won't be able to use that solution. So we still need to find a solution that's easy enough for the average Joe. So whether it's, you know, MetaMask or something similar, you know, we need a wallet.
Right.
You know, if we could use this core, you know, Binance, you know, I'm sorry, what's it called?
Trust wallet.
The Trust wallet. I mean, that would be great. You know, so we just need to find a solution that.
I wonder why it is so, like, in my understanding, it's not a super duper hard task to add to the RNode command line interface, to the RNode binary, a flag, an option transfer from, transfer to, and make it deploy this code and deploying this to validator. What are the functions that are needed out from wallet that are not available and not doable through the RNode binary?
Yeah, but
RNode.
You know, my mother's not going to spin up an RNode binary.
Well, you are not, but general, when I Zcash main is, when I use Zcash, it was like just command line. It's pretty common in crypto that people are using command line interfaces.
I totally disagree. I mean, like I said before, for the geeky, for, you know, the technically savvy, but, you know, we have, you know, thousands of people who hold our coin. And, you know, if we're going to look for mass adoption, you know, we can't, you know, we have to have solutions for just the average person.
Well, we're not looking for mass adoption in these 2 months, but we need something to be working in 2 months.
I don't want to argue with you, but there are plenty of people out there who bought rock who don't fit into the paradigm of techno geek.
Well, I definitely agree, but what are the options?
Well, well, this is my job, and this is what we're exploring, and we need to come up with solutions, and that's what we need to figure out. And with Ed Eichholt no longer moving forward with his wallet, we need to find solutions.
Well, my proposal is the investigation of Trust Wallet. In my opinion, it's good way to achieve all this stuff.
Yeah, no, that looks great. Yeah, no, that really looks great. And definitely something.
So who wants to follow up with the Trust wallet as far as exploring what the possibilities are with that is, so I can take a look at it, but, you know, I'm not going to have that that technical view of it. I guess, you know, for something like that to move forward, you know, we'd have to identify the technical expertise in our group who, and I think Nutzipper, you mentioned it's the main skill is the C++, and without, you know, a strong C++ background, you're not going to be able to move forward on that. Does that sound correct?
Well, it's kind of a big project, so it's not a blocker for me because I'm not doing this. So there should be a person who is able to step in and to build some code, which is should be reliable, and he should maintain it.
Mm-hmm.
And then this code can be used for building an application, for building a mobile wallet. So I can do this maybe, but I'm not a C++ dev, so I won't really rely on my code to work in production.
Right.
I get that. So I thought if somebody writes the C++ code and then does the pull request, we could potentially get it incorporated inside the Trust Wallet framework.
Yeah, I think we should probably at least have create a place for this project and see if we can maybe try to see if we can find some C++ resources to make progress on it, move it forward. Now maybe NetZipper could lead a work study or two where some people get started on working on it or something. I don't know who's going to work on it, but now I think that's the main thing, is identifying people with enough interest to work on it, maybe making a case for doing it.
I have a topic to discuss, guys, when we're done with this line.
Okay. Well, so Jim, to make this a project that we want, a place for, we call it the wallet project, the Colab wallet project. We can figure out how we want to organize it, but does it sound reasonable that we want to give it a place and a name?
Yeah, I mean, we do have a wallet channel in the main Discord. We might want to take some interest there, maybe to try to get
Okay.
get some interest in there. Maybe.
So let's. Okay, so why don't we start the discussion in the RChain wallet channel, as far as to identify, come up with three plans, plan A, B, and C. Right now, plan A is the trust wallet, and then we come up with the B plan and a C plan, find out what resources are available for each particular plan, and then working with Ned, and we can kind of determine what's the best course of action. How does that sound, everyone? So this is kind of what we're all about. This is the dApp developer working group.
Yeah.
So we want to sort of give guidance and directions to these types of things. So.
Yeah, this is great. I have a meeting internally on Thursday to discuss these issues, so I'm definitely going to bring up the Trust Wallet and see what other solutions people have come up with.
Oh, okay. So let's drive this conversation to the wallet channel. So I'll kind of stake the case to where we're at, and then we'll pick up the conversation in the wallet channel. How's that sound? Okay, good. So NetZipper, go ahead. You had a topic you wanted to bring up.
Yeah, so I'm not sure, guys, who is developing stuff here, and but I noticed some changes in the last node release. So basically, this is the ref transfer ref contract that I used in my testing on the testnet for quite a while, and there is a logging here which is basically really helpful for developer to figure out if all the raw line code execution going right way. So after the last release, I tried to deploy this code to start my testing, and I saw that these log messages are not printed. So I was wondering if something broke, or maybe this ID of the Revolt implementation contract is changed, or whatever.
I
But
would
also,
expect that vault address would change with every genesis of another network. But I know they were planning on a fixed ID scheme to get around that.
mhm.
I don't
So
know.
and I also experienced this with the Joshi's wallet, with the Joshi's RChain status app. So here's the code. Here is the code. Where it is? Here is the code. So basically, when this page is calling register for status, this contract is called. So this that should be assigned to this name. So call to this contract. This contract should print the debug message, but somehow calling this contract doesn't print this debug message.
Okay.
And I can't figure out if there is a bug in this code, or is something really changed inside the implementation of this system channel, raw IO std out. When Kelly still was the PM, we have raised this question, and there was an answer from the dev team, because they have plenty of stuff to do, which is more important. But I was hoping to see the feedback from another devs. Maybe they are experiencing some problems, and how they are.
Standard out is the there are no log. I guess they were going to change something about how that worked.
I thought so. Right. That's what I was going to say. I thought there's they turned a lot of the printing and the logs to reduce verbosity, right? But I don't know. I mean, I'm surprised none of the devs have responded.
Yeah, because I didn't push this question, and I was wondering if I should push this question, for example, on the next debrief or on the next dev stand-up.
What are you suggesting, that you're not getting any of these messages to the log?
I get this message. But I don't get these messages. And
Well,
in my call, I have this message, but I don't have these messages. So it looks like, in the case of nested sends,
right.
some logs.
Yeah. So usually when that happens, that means the row ID is no longer defined. And that happens all the time.
Yeah, but this code was working for about, I don't know, 2 months, and it experienced several reboots, many reboots. So this thing was hard coded all the time. I don't know if it was changed.
Well, if if it got a result back, it would say revolt found. So it obviously didn't get a result back.
It should, but then why if I call this register for status, it doesn't print this inside sig verify? I can show you right now if you wish. Right. So
where, let's see, where do you invoke? Sig verify gets run where?
it is called here. So register for status, and the first line is the send to sig verify. Okay, debug in register. So let's try this.
Guys, I got to, sorry, I got to drop off. But good meeting. I'll let you guys know after my Thursday meeting, and appreciate all the help on the wallet stuff. And
Yeah.
Very good. See you then.
See you,
thanks,
Ned.
guys. Thanks, everybody.
Have a good day.
Yeah. Okay, guys, should I proceed with this stuff?
So you see the message in register?
I just put it here, so I was trying to make a quick test if this will be printed and this won't, and this won't. Does this make sense? Because when I deploy this stuff, I can see this debug message. When I just deploy this code, this channel is sent, being sent data on this channel, and this debug message is being printed.
Okay.
So let's try.
Okay.
Okay, so what should be? Okay, we have the node. We have their node. Okay, so now we are deploying we're deploying status contract. Here it is, it's deployed. Now we're proposing. Here, and we see contract registered URI is this one. Now we are starting the application. So this is this application RChain status, and the main API is this. So when I push this button, sign up, it calls this function, register handler, which is looking for the contract that I just deployed in the registry lookup. URI here is the URI that I passed to the command line. So basically this code should 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 invoke the register for status contract.
Okay.
Let's try. So it is working. Okay. So let me check what's happening here. Okay, let's do this simple. Oh, this is why. This is it. Page.js. This is it.
Hey, Artie.
So here it is.
Okay, register for status. Okay. And that wasn't showing up before?
Let me.
I don't see
Yeah,
the.
me neither. I don't see the invoke of this contract. Actually, maybe I deployed this contract before I added this debug message. So
Yes.
let me redeploy it.
Right.
Okay. Okay. Okay, this is the new ID.
Should be right at the bottom, shouldn't it?
Sorry?
Yeah, it should be right at the bottom in the
Yeah,
block.
I'm just checking that this debug isn't here. Okay, it doesn't show up. So how come, how come, is there anything wrong with this code? Why doesn't it send? Why doesn't it call register for status contract?
And the lookup address looks wrong.
Yeah.
It should have a row colon ID colon. So you have to put row colon ID colon.
Yes. Indeed. So let's check. Your okay, let's do this one more time. Actually, I shouldn't do this.
Yeah, you didn't. All you needed to do was rerun it. What? I just saw you register. Where I see it?
What does mean invalid size?
Invalid size.
Oh, this is looks like all good.
Looks like what?
Here is the debug message.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Okay, so looks like the problem is not present.
Okay.
At least here is we can see the debug messages, and so the problem is why I can't see the debug messages with the real transfers. So looks like these hard-coded IDs are not longer inside the Genesis.
Yeah, that looks like that ID is not returning. You're not getting anything back from that ID.
Yeah. Okay, thank you guys.
Yeah.
So now I'm looking at the voting, and we had a couple of things happen, which I don't quite understand. But if we look at the robot testing channel, I can see that I got a vote back, a tally back somewhere here. This was way down here. Okay, so I did the vote results here. And I can see that even the people that didn't vote, they used their delegate vote for them, except for Gary. I think Gary's delegate was somebody else, whatever. But we've got the here it used the person's delegate in order to total the vote here. Then I may have made a change in the ballot contract. I'm not sure why I did that. But so I changed the vote yesterday so that instead of doing the receive, it does a send, repeat. Oh well. So then in the governance collab group, I did a dinner vote, and we created aha. I think I know what the problem was, although I'm not sure. I read the fine vote here, but okay, here I voted for pizza, and Rich voted for steak, and everyone else has no vote. They have a nil. So at this point, I don't know what changed, and that didn't use their delegates to calculate the vote. They all got nil. So that's the status today. Have to debug that. I don't know. If everyone wants to stick around to look into that. But I'm going to have to basically start from scratch a little bit. If I look at how the tally works here.
Hey, Jim, so we're at about a 15 minutes after our time. How do you want to proceed? Do you want to go into a detailed debugging, or should we, stop the record at this time? What are your thoughts?
Probably stop the record at this time, and
Okay.
then I do plan to continue with a live coding session from 4 to 5 after our dApp meeting.
Okay, so I'm going to stop recording.
All right.